Monterey, and there is a lure in the very sound of its romantic name, a name which was coined out of the golden visions of that old romancero known as Spain. From the very beginning, Monterey suggested myth and intrigue, and it was the dream of the deep-sea wanderers in that faraway year of 1542. For it was then, 50 years after the discovery of America itself, that Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo first sighted the tapestried shores of the beautiful Monterey Bay. And to him, it was a paradise of enchantment, a land where tidal waves rolled in to splash the sands with varied-colored fish. It was even more than the harbor he had sought to find, for it was a land of seals and birds, and a magnificent dream for the glory of Spain that could come to pass. But the gnarled old cypress, even in her death, defied any possession of Monterey by stretching out her ghostly arms. Cabrillo, at the time, not daring to risk a landing in her cross-currented waters, was forced to sail away, and it was 60 years before his lost paradise was rediscovered by Sebastian Vizcaino, whose report remained a legend until Father Serra and Gaspar de Portola landed their expedition upon its shores. Thus it was that Monterey became a small port and the cradle of California history. In her early days, this old custom house was a witness to the raiding of Monterey by Bouchard, one of the most notorious pirates of his time, and the rooms within its thick adobe walls were once used for conducting the royal business of Spain. It was also a social center for Monterey's elite, and its gardens, flower-bedecked, was a place where spirited bailes or dances were held for the Spanish aristocrats, those haughty, carefree, and leisure-loving people who were ruled by old Spain. Theirs was a life of gracious hospitality, combined with lavish entertainment of many guitars, and it was a continuous round of gaiety, with interludes of tranquility. Nor did the people of Monterey ever become perturbed by any of the outside conflicts. For while Napoleon was fighting his way to the throne of France, and even after he had plunged all Europe into bloody conflict, the people of Monterey continued to laugh and to dance. And while the fledgling United States was fighting another war with England, they were still laughing and dancing their merry way through 40 years of pastoral peace. Even as late as the 19th century, Richard Dana, the Yankee, could not understand the gay and carefree people. In writing his 2 years before the mast, the author stated that nothing but the character of this pleasure-loving people could ever keep Monterey from becoming a great and bustling seaport. Short-lived was her era of trading ships, as envisioned by Cabrillo, but Monterey today, in other respects, is truly a great city, and one which has retained all her old world charm. History joins hands with the present in the headquarters of Major John C. Fremont, the hard rider of the California Battalion. Another memoir from out of the past is one of America's most beautiful shrines. It is also the last remaining house in the West that was ever occupied by her most beloved writer and poet, none other than Robert Louis Stevenson. It was here, in the ever-haunting presence of the ocean, that he wrote his famous Treasure Island, and his Spyglass Hill of the same book was undoubtedly inspired by the ruggedly beautiful Point Lobos of windswept trees. And here we have the old Pacific building where a last fight was staged in the 1880s. The Casa de Oro, meaning House of Gold, rumored to have been a mint for promoting warfare. Next on the list is the old Portuguese whaling station, built when Monterey abounded with whaling trade. On a lot which cost only $29, stands the first brick house of California. Casa Verde, once the dwelling of Charles Warren Stoddard, and it was here that he wrote his last words. The House of the Four Winds, built by Thomas O. Larkin, half-brother of the shrewd Captain John Rogers Cooper, who later took the name of Juan Batista. Fate put the Vasquez home in back of the jail, and Tiberio Vasquez knew both well. The combination Spanish and Cape Cod architecture of the Larkin House created the Monterey type we know today. Proudly holding her years, California's first theater continues to draw at her every performance and continues to hold her audience enraptured. Rehearsals are always in swing, and surprising local talent from all walks of life now stage the old theater's regular performances. And true to the usual theater life, there are always the stage door Johnnies. You are after me, my boy. That doll was just my speed. The old French consulate of Louis Gasquet, who was forced to watch with alarm the growing control of the Americans. John Cooper built this house for his bride, who was the sister of General Vallejo, and their descendants still hold claim. The Gordon House was milled in Australia, shipped to England, and reshipped around the Horn to Monterey. Eerie are the tales of the Sherman headquarters because of a skeleton found in its wall. And still keeping on the unusual side, the Casa Abrego, which was practically built from the ship in which Napoleon made his escape from Elba. But the one common note in Monterey is its ever-present water, where huge white fishing boats, and pleasure boats too, float like pearls in the azure blue bowl of the fascinating Monterey Bay. And a most entrancing sight are the boats with their catch as they come into dock, for then the wharf is a scene of confusion. Seals and sea lions that were ruthlessly slaughtered during the first half of the 19th century are now the pampered pets of the seafaring men as they cavort for rewards of fish. A sight that weaves a deep and everlasting spell upon the tourist and artist alike are the leisurely drifting boats, for as they come in to dock and unload, Monterey takes on the setting of some old world port. A stroll down the old wharf, whose original was built in 1845 by military and civilian prisoners along with Indians who were held in bondage, could well be a scene from the shores of Italy. For brawny armed are Monterey's Italians, who are captains of her fishing boats. During her early years, however, it was the Portuguese fishermen who were more dominant, but today it is the Italians who rule by an overwhelming majority. Daily, their boats leave the piers to fish in the Blue Water Empire. Cruising the bay near the old fish hoppers, one is suddenly attracted by the deep and prolonged roar of the sea lions or seals, which have come out to disport themselves in play. Awkwardly, but sure of their footing, they maneuver their way slowly to the hopper's edge, then quickly they splash into the water below. It is only then that their movements become a thing of beauty and grace. Monterey, still reluctant to shed the tattered glories of her past, is again a scene which is reminiscent of some old Mediterranean port. Her men toil long hours with their $1,000 nets. When the fish are running, the heavy purse seiners with crews of 12 men are kept both busy and thrilled. But excitement rides high on the smaller boats too, for the fish that swarm in the deep of the bay run hard and savage, and they're big enough and game enough to give any man a stiff fight once they sock his bait. All one has to do here is board a boat and cruise the magic waters. One of the most fascinating things of all about deep-sea fishing is the fact that you never know just what you're going to catch. But you can rest assured that you're going to catch something. And a fellow could come up with anything from a husky albacore to a lurid eel, or he might even snag a passing whale as she puts up her head to float. Squabbling over the day's catch, the seagulls fly out to meet the boats. And loaded with huge success, the boats start pulling in. The brawny and seasoned Italian skipper of this boat really knows his business, for look at their catch of the day. And happy is the fellow who obliges you with a closer view. Not bad. Not bad at all. The Bay of Monterey abounds in fish and marine creatures of all types and sizes, from an occasional whale on down to a tiny silverside. Strange as it may seem, with such a bountiful supply of fish, the commercial fishermen for Cannery Row now fail to bring in enough fish to keep the old canneries running. Just why this should suddenly be so, nobody seems to know. But could it be that a mysterious cycle of nature might have changed her sardine tides? Known as the land of sails and seines, Monterey once had the largest sardine industry in the world. And fighting for a last-ditch stand, her fishermen still recall all those nameless days and nights when the fish did run. And in recalling, her old-timers continue to take their purse seiners out to sea, but only to return empty-handed. But whatever else may be lost among the years, Monterey is still a city apart from all others, like no other, and distinctly itself. The sweep of its emerald bay and the scent of its pine-fringed shores still hangs upon the walls of the world as a jeweled tapestry. Como Monterey, no hay dos.